So we're talking about the spelling trifecta, okay? And I'm Rita. I'm with Rooted in Language. We've been talking about how to grow independent readers and writers and the layers of learning needed to master these skills. We talked about 3 learning goals in yesterday's recording. We talked about that we need to be functional. We need to work and practice so kids achieve fluency. And we need to apply these new literacy skills, or all literacy skills, in meaningful projects to ensure deep learning. So if you missed that recording, be sure to go back and watch Teaching the Rooted in Language Way. Today, we're going to focus on the functional, the fluent, and meaningful aspects of learning and how spelling is a key ingredient in our teaching. Believe it or not, we all need spelling to achieve independent literacy skills. And we don't always think that's true today in this wonderful technological period with word processors and spell checkers. We think, oh, come on, do we really need spelling? In fact, we had a local school system in our town here that had decided that they didn't really think kids needed to work on spelling anymore. They could just skip right to technology. And you might also be thinking, hey, I never mastered spelling, but I can read. And you know what else? I can write as long as I have a spell checker. So why would you say we need spelling for literacy? Well, we don't have to be master spellers, although I bet you most of us wish we were master spellers, but we do have to acquire a basic level of skill in spelling to become fluent readers. And we must achieve an even higher level of spelling skills to become fluent writers. Most phonics programs, reading programs, literacy programs start by teaching reading, and many of them only teach reading. Some may add one more component, either spelling or writing. If spelling is taught, it's usually applied only to reading. And if writing is added in, it might focus on one foundational aspect of writing rather than writing that includes all components, which would be like handwriting, spelling practice, fluency, writing fluency practice, as well as original, meaningful composition. But research tells us that when we teach spelling in a way that's explicit and systematic, and we practice spelling in writing, we deepen learning for all 3 literacy skills: reading, writing, and spelling. At Rooted in Language, we don't wait on writing or spelling. We know this from our experience in working with kids, and the research tells us that we have to create this learning trifecta. So be clear on this. It's a myth that kids should learn to read before they learn spelling or writing. This is based on kind of an outdated philosophy that's not supported in our experience or in our research. It is true that many students progress more quickly in their reading than their writing, but we must simultaneously include all 3 areas in our teaching. Here at Rooted in Language, we see a small percentage of students who, once they learn a few basics, they have writing skills that begin to progress faster than their reading skills. So even the notion that reading is always ahead of writing isn't true for all kids. So think in 3s when you teach: reading, writing, and spelling, and think in 3 more taught in a way that's functional, fluent, and meaningful. Okay? So here's why. Teaching spelling and writing together builds into reading mastery, strengthening all 3 skills. But teaching reading only informs these skills. Reading does not build into either writing or spelling mastery. It informs the skills, but it doesn't build those skills. Many of you know this already. You have kids who are reading but not writing, or kids who are writing some but not progressing in their spelling. I was an avid reader and a terrible speller. In fact, take a moment to think of a few words you can easily read, but you always forget how to spell. Recognition is far easier than application. Okay, so research also tells us that to become good writers, we need 2 foundational skills to become so fast and efficient that they become automatic, meaning we can do these tasks with little cognitive effort. That's what we call automaticity, tasks that we can do where we do not have to recruit a high level of cognitive effort. Those 2 skills are spelling and handwriting. If either spelling or handwriting do not hit a functional level of automaticity, a basic level of fluency, we can't become good writers. And this is before we can layer on the communication, organization, and editing skills needed for strong composition down the road. We'll talk more about foundational handwriting practice in our upcoming recording, Facebook Live. Don't just teach it, do it. More than likely, if your child hates writing, they need help in either handwriting or in making sound to letter connections for spelling, or in both skills. Think about it. We can't get our ideas down on paper if we don't have functional handwriting and basic spelling skills. And we can never achieve writing fluency or flow without functional skills. If I wanted to write the sentence, my dog is happy and likes to play with me. If I get stuck on the words, now this sentence, my dog is happy and likes to play with me, has many high frequency words that kids learn at a young age. But we must have a basic level of spelling proficiency to read and especially write this sentence. If I get stuck on the words my or happy, these are words that a lot of our students struggle with in spelling, I will likely just add a period and stop writing my sentence. I had a bigger thought. Verbally, I could say a bigger thought, but it was just too much cognitive effort to write and spell all those words. Weak spelling actually impedes composition. And we see this time and time again, and the research shows it too. Weak spelling leaves kids stranded writing short, simple sentences that contain only simple vocabulary. I've actually seen kids adjust the words they wanted to write so that they could pick much easier words to write. So we teach spelling using this spelling trifecta. Here's another 3, where we use phonological processing that we strengthen through phonics work, and we build into orthographic knowledge that we've talked about in our prior recording that builds into word form memory, and we strengthen morphologic knowledge or morphology skills as we engage in word study with kids. And I'm going to show you this by showing you these words. Okay, so I want you to look at these 2 words, because and finally. So phonologically, the way we build up phonological skills is we teach kids to think about the sounds they hear and say using their phonological system. Research tells us that our brains must efficiently and accurately track sounds across words, and that we use this skill unknowingly, even once a word is quickly recognized, what we think of as a sight word. We also know that our phonological system aids in establishing memory for how words look. So what you see here is we have drawn some sound lines and we're helping kids track the sounds they hear with the letters they see, and the sounds they hear and say when they say these words. Then we work on their orthographic knowledge. We teach kids to map the letters they see onto the sounds they hear using orthographic knowledge. Research tells us that this important mapping of sounds and letters is a key component to developing word form memory, the memory we need to quickly recognize and spell words. So what you'll notice here is I have mostly underlined vowels because vowels are always a real struggle in terms of spelling in English language. And I also underlined in the word because the fact that we have this silent E at the end of the word that actually doesn't have a sound, but kind of is linked to this final S in the base word cause that makes up the word because. And that leads me to the next level that we work on with kids, where we build into their morphologic knowledge. We teach kids to recognize word parts or the smallest units of meaning known as morphology. This not only helps kids spell words with prefixes and suffixes, but it helps them practice their spelling rules. So I want you to notice how that morphologic knowledge really has supported spelling in a really important way. Okay. And knowing these suffixes can really help us in spelling a word like final or finally. So we teach kids to think 3 ways when they spell. What do I know? How are words built? What do I hear? The sounds and syllables that I hear and say. And what do I see? Matching letters on to the sounds. We learn each of these skills, and then we have kids practice them together. And we don't wait for one and the other. We do it within a lesson, teaching skills, practicing them together. Remember, as we discussed in our talk, teaching the rooted in language way, kids must learn how to read and write words within milliseconds. This is the spelling trifecta. So how can you teach using the spelling trifecta? Well, that's where we are here to help you. If you have a new or young learner or a struggling learner, we give you many of the tools and teaching strategies in our 2 curricula products. Pinwheels is a comprehensive language arts program that combines all of these skills plus many others that we talked about in the Rooted in Language way. And Wand focuses on building spelling that is functional and fluent, and we have a few meaningful projects sprinkled in. Then, if you have an older struggling student, we help you learn how to apply these very important strategies to all of their language arts learning. And we recommend the following educator training courses in this order of priority. So in the top row, you see our Laying a Path classes, phonics and spelling. That's where we really build into this link between the sounds we hear and say to the letters we see and write. The vowel chart class, which really helps kids tackle, when we add this piece in, helps kids tackle and remember the complex vowel spellings that we have in the English language. And our word study class, where we help kids add in this morphological piece of understanding word parts and word structure. And then we have supportive materials that you may also want to add in as you become more comfortable. We have our word study packet, our Alien Bugs word study support program, and then we have our LA Binder class, which shows you how we use the LA Binder to build into kids not only memory, but independent work down the road. So think in 3s as you use the Rooted in Language classes and products. Think in 3s. Teach reading and writing and spelling together. In all teaching, be functional, fluent, and meaningful. And in spelling, think 3 ways. Tomorrow, we will tackle the one topic that you may actually dread more than spelling: grammar. Join us for our presentation, Grammar Matters, as we explain how taking a functional approach to grammar improves both reading comprehension and writing skills. Then we'll talk more about fluency as we discuss handwriting and how to be meaningful in our teaching in presentation entitled, "Don't Just Teach It, Do It." Our Rooted in Language promise: we teach you and give you the tools you need to help your students have deep, engaged learning that leads to your child's independence in literacy.